Have you ever thought about what it truly means to be an honest person? Is it about never stealing, never lying? Or is there something deeper, something that happens right here in our minds? Let's explore this with a story. There once was a man named David, known throughout his town for his unwavering honesty. He was a cashier at a local grocery store, and everyone trusted him. If you overpaid, you'd be the first to point it out. If you dropped a coin, he'd chase you down to return it. David was proud of his reputation. He believed he was incorruptible, a pillar of integrity. One day, his boss, Mr. Henderson, called him into his office. "David," he said, "I'm going on a long trip for a month. I need someone to manage the store's finances, someone I can trust completely. That someone is you." David's heart swelled with pride. This was the ultimate recognition of his honesty. Mr. Henderson explained the system. Every day, David was to deposit the day's earnings into the bank. The accounts were straightforward. Everything was documented, and there seemed to be no room for error. David accepted the responsibility with a confident smile, assuring his boss that the store was in the safest hands. The first week went by smoothly. David handled the cash with precision, his deposits matching the sales records down to the last cent. He felt good, reinforced in his belief that he was an inherently honest man. But then, a thought, small and slippery, like a tiny seed, planted itself in his mind. It was a Tuesday afternoon. The store was busy. The cash drawer was overflowing. As he counted the day's earnings, a thought popped into his head. It would be so easy to take just a small amount, a $10 bill. Who would even notice? He immediately pushed the thought away, shocked at himself. What am I thinking? I'm an honest man. He meticulously counted the money again and deposited the full amount. But the seed had been planted. The next day, the thought returned, a little louder this time. Just $20. It's nothing to the store, but it would be a nice dinner out for me. He started to rationalize. It's not like I'm robbing the place. Work so hard. Maybe I deserve a little extra. Again, he fought it off, but this time, the struggle was harder. The thought lingered, whispering temptations. Throughout the second week, this internal battle raged on. The thought grew from a whisper to a persistent voice. It started painting pictures in his mind. The things he could buy, the small debts he could pay off. He found himself looking at the money differently. It was no longer just the store's earnings. It was a pile of opportunity, a source of temptation. He began to feel stressed and irritable. His work, once a source of pride, now felt like a constant test. He was barely passing. He wasn't sleeping well. Haunted by the conflict between who he believed he was and the thoughts he was having, he hadn't stolen a single cent. Yet he felt as if he was already a thief. The simple act of thinking about it, of entertaining the idea, was chipping away at his self-respect. The beginning of the third week was the turning point. A large, unexpected bill arrived at his home. The pressure mounted. That day at work, as he counted the cash, the voice in his head was deafening. Just $100. You can pay it back before he returns. No one will ever know. This time, the rationalizations won. He told himself it was just a loan. He'd put it back next week. His hands trembled as he slipped a $100 bill from the stack and put it in his pocket. A wave of guilt and fear washed over him, but it was mixed with a strange sense of relief. The battle, for now, was over. He had given in, but it wasn't over. The next day, it was easier. Another 50 won't hurt. I'll pay it all back together. The loan grew. By the end of the month, David had taken over $1,000. The man who prided himself on his honesty had become a thief, not in one grand act of betrayal, but in a series of small, private surrenders that started with a single thought. When Mr. Henderson returned, he didn't even need to look at the books. He looked at David. He saw the slumped shoulders, the averted eyes, the guilt that hung around him like a heavy cloak. He knew. In his office, a tearful David confessed everything. He expected anger. He expected the police. Instead, Mr. Henderson looked at him with a sad, knowing expression. "David," he said softly, "this wasn't about the money. The finances were cross-checked by my accountant daily from a distance. I knew about the first $100 the day you took it." David was stunned. Then why? This was a test. Mr. Henderson continued. Not a test of your actions, but a test of your thoughts. I trusted you, David, but I've learned that true integrity isn't just about what we do. It's about what we entertain in our minds. The moment you allowed that first thought of dishonesty to take root, to grow and to be negotiated with, the battle was already being lost. Your actions were just the final step in a process that began in your head. This story teaches us a powerful lesson. Honesty, discipline, and integrity don't just exist in our actions. They are forged in the silent battlefield of our minds. It's not about never having a negative or tempting thought. We all do. It's about what we do with that thought. Do we dismiss it immediately, or do we invite it in for a conversation? Our thoughts are the seeds of our actions. If we cultivate thoughts of integrity, discipline, and positivity, our actions will naturally follow. But if we allow seeds of greed, envy, or deceit to sprout, they will eventually grow into a forest that chokes out our better nature. So, the real challenge is to become the guardian of your mind. Pay attention to the thoughts you're watering, because who you are is not just defined by what you do when others are watching, but by the battles you win against the whispers in your own head when no one is around. Control your thoughts, or they will inevitably control you. Thanks for watching. If this story resonated with you, give it a like and subscribe for more content to help you build a stronger mindset. See you next time.